Welcome back to Sarasota, Florida for Open Semifinals of the 2012 USA Ultimate Club Championships. Number 1 seed Ironside currently trailing number 4 seed Doublewide 7-8. Ironside had a great run in the first half to bring themselves back into this game, but as we were looking back over the tapes, all of this could have been avoided on a crucial upwind breakpoint. Will Neff going upfield and a crucial drop, and then a second big break opportunity as it gets past Will Neff. Both of those would have brought Ironside maybe within 1 or 2 and then given them the opportunity for the downwind break. Instead, they had to have a very exciting comeback. A lot of fun to watch, but I'm sure Ironside is just going for the easy win. Now in the second half, Doublewide starting on offense. Will Driscoll in the middle of the field, high release backhand, gets past Kieran Thomas. And Ironside moving the ball quickly. Will Neff on the sideline
with the D.
Jacob Goldstein to Neff in the center. Neff is going to call foul on Driscoll. Driscoll on the layout, coming into some contact. Getting another look at this. Tough to tell from there. It seemed like Driscoll might have stopped some of Neff's momentum. Looks like we're going to go to the observers. Observer rules that it is a foul. Neff is going to keep possession. And here you have Ironside, chance to break in the first point of halftime. Neff gets a short pass to Goldstein. Goldstein to Misha Sidorsky. Haven't seen Sidorsky much this game. He's in on defense on this upwind point. Back to Goldstein.
Ironside looking to get that upwind break to start out the half.
Broward Jarris ripping a backhand. Sidorsky is there, but a nice D. It looks like that is Max Cook.
Yep.
Max Cook, great body position. Still an impressive throw, but Broward Jarris going upwind.
Sidorsky almost able to reach over the shorter Cook. Cook jumping strong, maintaining the space above his head. Able to get the D. Now Doublewide looks at an opportunity. Push their lead back to 2.
Cook, high stall count, gets it downfield. Cole Sullivan is there making a play on it with John Hirschberger on his back as the disc goes out of bounds. Sullivan calling the foul. It looks like Hirschberger isn't contesting it as he moves to the sideline. Maybe he just moved to talk to the observer. Discussion between players on the field. Getting a replay on this, a big floaty pass.
There's definitely contact. Foul call is upheld by the observers. Sullivan putting the backhand to Will Driscoll. Observers signal in. Doublewide pushes their lead to 2. Will.I.am Driscoll coming up big in this semifinal match.
Yeah, we've been talking about the big play from a young star of Driscoll. runs that one down and is able to get a hand on it before he runs out of the back of the end zone. Didn't even have to lay out. He had such great speed.
Able to get that back foot down. You can see his following foot lands on the line. Lots of sand flying up in the air. He's a big guy with a lot of body control. And Doublewide looking to break in to finals, push their lead to 2. D-line for Doublewide, Melicone, Richardson, Anderson, Smith, Walsh, Gibson, and Orloff. Kurt Gibson with the pull. Pull makes it to about the brick. Taylor brings it down. Centers to Rebels. There's Stubbs streaking deep. Rebels high release, backhand, completed to Alex Capinos.
I believe that's going to be a travel called. I didn't see the observer signal, but something called on the offense.
I believe Gibson was actually calling travel on Rebels.
And observer rules that they're not making a call, so the disc is going to go back. Rebels goes to Taylor on the swing pass.
Stubbs streaks in, unmarked. Unmarked by Smith. Ironside's offense closing in. George Stubbs, very impressive scuba across the field to Alex Capinos. Josh Marquette looking downfield, finds Taylor. Just past midfield. Inside break to Peter Pryl. Jake Anderson injured on the collision with Pryl. Looks like he jammed his thumb.
If there's an injury call, the disc is going to go back to Pryl. The play would stop where the injury occurred. Pryl comes back strong to the disc, and Anderson takes a full force of it.
That's Dalton Smith checking in for Anderson.
Pryl back to the center of the field to Marquette. Marquette finds Pryl on the live side, and Ironside's offense downwind looking very good. So bring the score 8-9.
No breaks yet this half. Both offenses converting downwind. Peter Pryl with his second goal of the game. Now it's Doublewide's turn to ride the wind towards the end zone.
Taking a look at this George Stubbs scuba, not only is that throw impressive with no wind, but he's throwing that at a slight crosswind straight into the wind. So it pushes through these 30-mile-an-hour gusts that have been giving people trouble on something like the pole where they get all their power in, and he just throws a scuba over there.
Just a flick of the wrist. It's amazing, phenomenal how much spin he can put on that scuba so it maintains its angle. It doesn't get blown out. It's flying strong. It goes right where he wants it to go. He's able to swing it 20 yards across the field.
George Stubbs, of course, the 2011 Callahan winner from Harvard University.
Started playing club at the age of 16 with Chain Lightning. D-line for Ironside. Neff, Simmons, Mahoney, Reinhardt, Foster, Ingold, Smith, and Wallach. Garrett receives the pull, centers to Loscorn. Nattenberg out in the lane, marked by Wallach. Now dumped over to Sullivan, marked by Foster. Sullivan throws the backhand, completed to Max Cook, not his intended receiver. Now 10 yards outside the end zone with Driscoll. Garrett to Thomas. Doublewide makes quick work of that offensive point. Ironside trailing most of the point. They had their initial play cut down, but once Sullivan's backhand was completed, even though it wasn't intended, it looked like Sullivan was just punting it down the field. Max Cook was able to get it. Ironside was just out of position. They weren't expecting it. And Doublewide is able to move it all the way down the field. Ironside not able to catch up.
Yeah, Colin Mahoney was guarding Will Driscoll. He just seemed to stop when he turned around. Will Driscoll gets an easy pass, and from then everyone's behind the receiver.
In 2 passes, they go 50 yards down the field. Driscoll sees Garrett wide open. Kieran Thomas breaks away to the live side. Doublewide pushes their lead back to 2. Doublewide D-line. Anderson back on the field. Smith, Gibson, that's Kurt Gibson and his brother Chris Gibson. Tim Garrett, Cole Sullivan, Kevin Richardson. Tim Garrett set to pull for Doublewide. All 3 points being scored in the near end zone, downwind. Each team yet to break upwind this half. Garrett with the low pull. Jacob Taylor brings it to the line. Now Doublewide in their zone set. Taylor fakes the hammer. Now elects to throw the hammer. And the throw never comes back in. Big break here for Doublewide, an opportunity to get a break upwind, go up 11-8. That hammer never came back in. So where it went out of bounds, where Jacob Taylor had it, is where it will be checked in. Tim Garrett to Gibson, back to Garrett. Now Gibson. Gibson turfs his flick, looking for his brother. Gibson hands on the head. Not happy with that. Very uncharacteristic turnover from Kurt Gibson, even in this win. Now Rebels winds up for a big hammer, goes all the way down the field. Gibson swings and misses. Stubbs pumps. Gibson dive attempt does not work, and Danny Clark is left wide open. Stubbs unmarked. Teams are scoring very fast now downfield. Riding that wind. That was a huge break for Ironside. Kurt Gibson turfing a forehand. Something you could go a whole year and not see from a player like Gibson.
Yeah, he gets the bottom and short end of the stick on both sides as he throws it into the ground and then just misreads the D. Certainly in a great position. He could have gotten back and redeemed himself. But Ironside, 2-on-0 matchup down there. Easily puts in the score.
That's 2 uncharacteristics you see from Gibson. Usually in the air, Gibson is a sure defender. We saw earlier in the game, Gibson got the better of Stubbs, where he read the disc. He stumbled, got off balance, but was still able to maintain body control. There, the hammer rode the wind just past the swatting arm of Kurt Gibson. Stubbs intelligently holsters the backhand, and Ironside converts. They only trail by 1. Sullivan picks up, centers to Loscorn. It's marked by Goldstein. Driscoll going deep. Simmons poaches off, leads Max Cook wide open, and Max Cook looking for Driscoll. Colin Mahoney easily reaches up and D's the throw from Max Cook. Very difficult to throw over the 6'6", long-armed Colin Mahoney. Now George Stubbs brings it to the line, looking for the first upwind break of this game. Stubbs faking the forehand. Goldstein, low backhand, nearly D'd by Loscorn. Goldstein with it again in the middle. Goldstein inside break to George Stubbs. George Stubbs unleashing a flick to Christian Foster, but Will Driscoll is there and gets the D. Driscoll making big plays when his team needs it.
Yeah, and great job from Driscoll to keep with the disc after he hits it away. Could have easily bounced up and been caught by Christian Foster.
It's a very impressive throw from George Stubbs.
What a throw from Stubbs. Just a flick huck bomb.
Oh my.
And on the huck attempt, Cole Sullivan's hand comes in contact with Christian Foster, and Cole Sullivan's backhand has a lot of power behind it. I can assure you that for you watching at home.
Foster doesn't like the call, kicks the disc away. Sullivan still down, clearly in a lot of pain. As you were saying earlier, Topher, Sullivan gets the advantage on his backhand because he has such a late release that almost every time he throws that backhand, it is a foul because the player's hand is there and he releases it so far out from his body, and it's the very last thing to happen. He doesn't follow all the way, he follows all the way through with his hand.
Before letting that disc go. Yeah, that could be a huge loss for Doublewide. Sullivan, a very physical and aggressive player on defense, and on the offensive side, someone with big throws that they want on these downwind points.
Now Garrett boosting it to Kieran Thomas. Thomas goes up big, the disc sails over his head. Goldstein will pick up, marked by Doublewide captain Jeff Loscorn. Goldstein fakes the forehand. Disc will be coming in on the sideline by Garrett, marked by Foster. Garrett dumps to Loscorn. Loscorn marked by Goldstein. Low throw to Driscoll. Driscoll marked by Mahoney, looking for the end zone. High release backhand to Kieran Thomas, who almost makes a phenomenal grab. Now Alex Simmons to the line. Can't find Jacob Goldstein. Loscorn at the front of the end zone. Loscorn with the flip to Max Cook. Easy goal there for Doublewide. However, we do have a call on the field.
Seems to be Alex Simmons making a call on Max Cook at the front of the stack. I'm not sure what kind of call he's making. Jacob Goldstein seems to be talking to his player, encouraging him to take away the foul call. He does. Great spirit by Goldstein to encourage his player to make the right call. Doublewide gets the point. They go up 11-9.
4 points away from the open final for Doublewide. Ironside had their chances that point to get the upwind break and multiple possessions.
Yeah, so far in the second half, we haven't seen any breaks. Both teams being much more comfortable in their downwind offense.
D-line here for Doublewide. Smith, Melicone, Garrett, Richardson, Sullivan, Gibson, and Anderson. Very tall defensive line. Garrett with a low backhand. It rolls. Marquette stops the roll. Picks up, centers to Rebels. Doublewide in their 4-man cup. Marquette receives, gains ground on the reception. Marquette leans into the mark, then finds George Stubbs up the field. Stubbs to Marquette. Marquette with the no-look scoober just past the diving Sullivan. Now George Stubbs going for a huge scoober to Capinos. Kurt Gibson gets the D. Doublewide looking for an upwind break. Melicone to Gibson. Gibson with the drop. Smith was wide open on the sidelines. Melicone elects throw to Gibson. Now Marquette just outside the end zone. Melicone calling travel, saying Marquette had possession and then hopped forward, gaining yards.
Great transition offense from Ironside. When they got that disc back, they were downfield in a hurry. Now Marquette 5 yards outside his end zone.
There's Peter Pryl with his 3rd goal of the game. Looks like he's cramping. George Stubbs there immediately. See Pryl instantly cramps after he scores. He's still in pain.
This does not bode well for Ironside. A big receiver to go down now.
Very effective cutter. Dangerous out in the lane. If it wasn't as windy as it was here, you'd be seeing a lot of first cuts from Peter Pryl. Peter Pryl, George Stubbs working together. However, with the windy conditions, you do see upwind lines and downwind lines. Update from the women's semifinals. Fury up 5 on Showdown. They lead 9-4. Much closer on the other side between Riot and Scandal. Riot up 1, 13-12.
I believe that the soft cap just went off, which means we add 2 to the highest score, and that is where there's a hard cap. Not for us, excuse me, that is a soft cap for a different round.
D-line for Ironside. Neff, Brower, Juris, Foster, Mahoney, Marquette, Cooper, Ingold, Smith. Gibson picks up, centers to Garrett. There's Nattenberg out the lane, cutting right away, marked by Ingold Smith. Nattenberg receives it on the live side. Foster with the big layout. Kieran Thomas puts it to Melicone. Excuse me, that's Max Cook. Max Cook marked by Cooper. Cook 20 yards outside his end zone. Doublewide really crowding that sideline. Cook up the line to Garrett. Garrett just 1 yard outside his end zone. Dumps to Garrett. Excuse me, that was Gibson to Garrett.
Pick called in the stack. Garrett with possession. Being marked by Marquette.
Stahl's coming in on 3. Garrett puts it up to Kurt Gibson. Observer signal goal. Doublewide takes the lead 12-10. You know, that connection between Garrett and Gibson, saw it many times in Florida. Gibson clearly marked, but Garrett has a lot of faith in Gibson going up line.
Yeah, and Gibson, who has made a few mistakes in the second half, turfed that one into the ground. He dropped another important possession. See sure hands there. It's a player with that kind of star caliber. You see him on the field. So soft cap went on the last point. So that means that the hard is at 13. It's a game to 13.
No, the rule is you play 1 point and then add 2 to the highest total after you play that 1 point. So they played 1 point after that, which brought the score to 12. So now it's a game to 14.
So game to 14, Ironside down 2.
Back to Gibson. You know, something that makes a player like Gibson so good is he's able to shake off those mistakes. You're going to screw up. You're going to turf it. It will happen maybe once a year, but right after that he comes back and is able to sort of put the team on his back, score the goal to put him up to only 3 points away from getting into finals. Now Doublewide in their zone look. Rebels to Turner. Turner back to Rebels. Ironside doesn't have anyone out for the swing pass. Hammer over the top to Stubbs. Now up the line to Pryl. Pryl not showing any ill effects of that cramp. Now Clark on the sideline to Taylor. Fired over to Rebels. Rebels right to Stubbs. Stubbs with the scoober to Danny Clark. Little fumble there, but he maintains possession, able to score. Ironside only trails by 1. Still no breaks going upwind. All offensive conversions for both teams. Both teams playing a much cleaner game as far as breaks go. There have been turns. Teams have had their opportunities. No team has allowed the offense for the D-line to capitalize on those turns.
Yeah, and Ironside getting into the point.
See Ironside's huddle right there. Coach Josh McCarthy. Another coach, Mike Zalisk, former Callahan winner. Played his years at JAM. Came over and played last year. A couple years with Ironside. This year electing to be a coach. Zalisk, during that comeback from the chain game in the quarterfinals, saying some very calming words, allowing Ironside to really focus on their team. They didn't get too frazzled. They didn't get shaken up. They came back. Took that game away from Chain, winning 15-13. Here again, they're down by 1. Doublewide. Not giving the disc to them. Ironside's going to need to earn it to maintain that 1 seed going into finals.
Yeah, and Ironside won that game against Chain on a break on an upwind point. So you know late in this game, they'll feel the importance. We'll see how they're able to respond.
There's the last scoring to Garrett. There's Max Cook going deep. Ironside. Oh my goodness. That is an incredible D by Rusty Ingold-Smith and Max Cook, full extension. The disc just seems to be falling Doublewide's way on that point. Very similar play.
2009 finals.
2009 finals.
I was thinking the exact same thing.
Josh Zipperstein. That one not as long. But still, very impressive play. Great concentration from Max Cook. He's all smiles now, only 2 points away from getting to that elusive open finals.
1 point away.
1 point away, that's right. Soft cap is on.
Ironside in a do or die situation.
In the other open semifinals, Revolver leads Ring 9-4. Revolver having a commanding lead, looking like they will, now 9-5, looking like they will go on. However, the game is not over as this round started an hour before. So there is at least there's an hour longer before soft goes on, or just under an hour.
Cole Sullivan back on the field to pull for Doublewide. Of course, he went out earlier with that hand injury.
Other defensive players for Doublewide: Melicone, Smith, Thomas, Anderson, Richardson, and Orloff. Marquette brings it down, centers to Rebels. Rebels calls foul. Richardson not contesting. Will come in on 0. Doublewide not in their zone, wanting to earn it with man. Rebels looking for something, then puts it up to George Stubbs. George Stubbs using all of his speed to track that one down. The blade rides the wind, bounces off his hands.
I'm sure he was thinking about the line as he got in there. Gets a hand on it, but not able to bring it in.
Now Austin Doublewide burns their first time out of this half. They have an opportunity to break up Wind and move on to the open finals, taking down the #1 seed Ironside. Players are going to take a break, and we will too. Please join us for the conclusion of this exciting semifinal match. Welcome back to Sarasota, Florida. Doublewide 1 point away from moving on to the open finals. They need to go 70 yards in a 25-mile-an-hour wind. First throw, Richardson swung over to Orloff, marked by Marquette. Marquette to Brody Smith. Smith calling foul. Foul on it is marked by Alex Capinos. Can't really see from that angle. There's definitely contact. Disc is checked in. Brody Smith unleashing a flick. Cole Sullivan's there.
Oh, Cole Sullivan can't bring it up. Could have had the game-winning catch in the end zone. Now George Stubbs with possession on his own goal line. He's not going to take any chances on a short field, leading in front of Danny Clark.
Jake Anderson says,
Jake Anderson now, 7 yards to go. Kevin Richardson gets a hand on it. Peter Pryl knocking it out. I think that's going to be a strip call. Looks to be uncontested as Kevin Richardson picking it up. No problems with Peter Pryl.
Huge throw there from Brody Smith. Cole Sullivan able to get 2 hands on it, just reaches down. Very difficult catch, especially with the pressure.
And Peter Pryl is taking an injury sub, or I'm not sure who took the injury sub first, Doublewide or Ironside, but Will Neff comes on the field for Peter Pryl, and Kurt Gibson, surprisingly enough, goes off the field.
Anderson swings around to Melicone. Melicone low break to Smith. Gotta think it's going up here soon from Smith. Smith to Melicone. Looks like we have a pit call down in the field. Melicone marked by Rebels.
Stall count coming in at 0 as the pick call downfield was before the continuation throw. Brody Smith getting the disc up line.
Brody Smith swings it across to Ryan Bigley. Ryan Bigley throwing the backhand, puts it out there. George Stubbs with the D.
You gotta respect the competitive spirit of Brody Smith out there right now. Even though he's injured, he is running very hard in this last point, wanting to get his team that he's worked hard with for 3-4 years into the finals. Now Ironside with possession.
Wow, two very impressive scoobers here. One from George Stubbs to start flow, then Josh Marquette changes field to Alex Capinos. Marquette swings it across to Clark. Double wide players are trailing. Will Neff to Danny Clark, back in the middle to Marquette. Marquette to Rebels. We have a foul called. Rebels calling a foul on the mark of Melicone, coming in on 0. Rebels with the disc. Rebels dumps to Taylor. Taylor inside break to Neff. Neff to Danny Clark. Boston Ironside cutting the double-wide lead only to 1. Game point double-wide.
Taking a look at women's semifinals action, both of those games are over. Fury is already finished. They had an hour later start than our rounds, and they have already defeated Austin Showdown. Scandal from DC was taking on Riot from Seattle. It was a close game. We haven't gotten a score up. If history has proved itself, it should be Riot's victory. But Scandal has been making a strong run here at this tournament. Until we get a confirmation, I won't say anything for sure.
In the Revolver and Ring game, Revolver taking a commanding lead. They leave 11-5. We're going to take a look here, the Ironside huddle, seeing what Josh McCarthy has to say to his team.
And force a turn. We will force a turn. And we got to be expecting the punt early, okay? We got to be expecting that punt, okay?
Yep.
All right, let's go. Come on, come on, come on.
Guys, this huddle.
Confident his team will be able to generate a turn. They just have to be ready to punt early. You look at that line out there for Ironside, you got Will Neff, Simmons, Foster, Stubbs, Reinhardt, Mahoney, and Wallach.
It seems like they are favoring a line of big receivers to really get the disc over a line of strong handlers that they've had earlier.
Yeah, you got to think the two guys that, if Ironside gets the disc, the two guys that will be handling most of the throws, Stubbs and Neff. O-line here for double wide. Tim Garrett, Kurt Gibson, Jeff Loscorn, Mike Nattenberg, Will Driscoll, Max Cook, and Steve Walsh. George Stubbs with the pull. Tim Garrett knocks it down, centers to Loscorn, marked by Wallach. Nattenberg out in the lane. Now Loscorn to Driscoll, marked by Mahoney. Back in the middle with Garrett.
Pick called in the stack. Ironside does not want to give up a deep throw.
Max Cook streaking deep, and nobody stays with him. Max Cook wide open in the end zone. Austin Doublewide finally breaks through. They make it to the Open Finals. Take off, or knock off the #1 seed, Boston Ironside. Many people coming into this tournament saying this was Ironside's year. However, Austin Doublewide, all things are working.
What a game we had here today.
They get the break.
Big comeback from Ironside in that first half to keep it close all game in the second half. But it was that one break in that first half that Doublewide had the advantage of. No breaks in the second half, and that's the difference in the game.
There was one break in the second half. Doublewide had one break.
No,
because both players were coming down. Anyways, Doublewide wins. They're going on to the finals. Looks like they'll take on Revolver. Still a lot of time left in that game. Revolver, the 2-time defending national champions. They're up 11-6 on Ring.
Wow, a fantastic game today.
Incredible game.
Open semifinals. But here at Next Gen Network, we are not done. We are still going to bring you the Masters Finals coming up today. And don't forget to tune in tomorrow for championship games, starting with mixed in the morning. Then we'll see some women's matchups. Fury versus, I still don't know.
The Rioter Scandal. Both teams are cooling down.
And then Doublewide will be taking on the winner of Revolver and Ring of Fire at 2:30 in the afternoon. Please, it's going to be an exciting game. A big thanks to everyone on our crew for making this game happen. Brian Bedord, Aki Odera, and Tim Gilligan on our cameras. Vin Bowie, our director. Kimber Coles, the replay operator. Our executive producer, Kevin Minderhout. I'm Topher Davis. I'm here with Jackson Kelsey. Thanks again for tuning in to Sarasota for the 2012 Club Championship. Vin, go ahead and take us out.